It's on, Councillor Wootton.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, good afternoon, members, and good afternoon to members of the public that may have tuned into the Rockford District Council YouTube channel. This is a meeting of the Flood Forum for today, 1st of November, and I would certainly like to welcome everyone. I've heard that Councillor Mrs. Cheryl Rowe may be running a little bit late or may not get here at all, depending on her work commitments. I think I can't see Councillor Carol Weston. Can I? No, I can't see Carol Weston. Has anyone received apologies from Carol? No. Okay. I would like to give a very warm welcome to Councillor Mrs. Christine Mason and Councillor Chris Stanley. Certainly, when I was talking with the portfolio holder last week, we certainly agreed that this forum should be an inclusive forum for all members cross party and more importantly across the geographical district of Rockford. That seems to be a sensible way to move forward. So hopefully all members agree with me on that. By way of some background, you need to go back to 2014, 25th of February 2014 to be precise, when this flood forum was formed. And I would like to say that it is not as from an RDC point of view, this is not a statutory function, but it is right and proper that we coordinate the agencies who do have responsibility and work with them to deal with specific flooding issues across the geography of our district. Thanks to Jeff Stacey, who will be leading us through the meeting this afternoon with various items. And at the end, I want to take views from members, please, as to whether or not, notwithstanding my comments back in March, I think, when we had our last flood forum, that hopefully this meeting would be in person. Actually reflecting with the portfolio holder last week, we actually feel this is one of those meetings that moving forward is probably quite effective through a virtual platform. So I will be taking members' views at the end of this meeting. So without further ado, can we agree item 2, the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of March earlier this year, on points of accuracy, please? Can I have any comments? Councillor Laureen Shaw.
Sorry, I was just to put my hand up to agree, Simon. Sorry.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, if you can either signify by your actual hand or virtually, if you can signify your agreement, that would be helpful, please. You can raise your hands with agreement. Yeah, I think that's got everyone's agreement as far as I can see. Thank you. Right, moving on to matters arising. What I would appreciate is, if it's possible, please, to take matters arising which do not feature anywhere else on the list that Jeff Stacey had prepared for us, because it would be helpful if we could keep some structure in order to for the meeting to not overlap. But are there any matters arising from the minutes, please? No? Okay. Councillor Steptoe.
Sorry, Chairman, it's not matters arising, but I don't see on the agenda declarations of interest, and I do need to declare some.
That's a really good point. Thank you, Councillor Steptoe. I think that is omitted, and you're right, absolutely right to point that out. So under well, can we take any declarations, please? And I assume, Councillor Steptoe, you might have one to make.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 or 3, to be honest with you.
Right.
I'm a member of Barling Parish Council because there's a couple of matters that may come up for that. I'm also a member of the Essex Flood, Vice Chairman of the Essex Flood Forum, and I'm also a member of the environmental agency RFC group as well.
Thank you. Have you got that, Veronica? Lovely, thank you very much. Councillor Christine Mason.
Thank you, Simon. I've just noticed that my road is down there, so I should declare an interest as it's been reported. Okay, thank you. That's Englefield Close.
Okay, that's kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. And Councillor Chris Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to inform the committee that I'm working with the Roy Flood Action Group for my particular area. Thank you.
And you're declaring that as an interest in this meeting?
Yes, I am, yes.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Dave Sperring.
Thank you, Chairman. Member of Raleigh Town Council, just in case any of these areas impinge on that situation, just to cover the options. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sperring. Councillor Judy Gooding.
Yeah, I'd just like to declare, I did mention the Rectory Road and I live there, so just declare an interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I think that's covered everyone with their hands up. Oh, Councillor Ian Ward.
Yeah, I put my hand up first and you kind of omitted me completely.
Councillor Ward, your hand is not a nice bright yellow one.
All right, I don't know why. Have no idea. Anyway, Raleigh Town Council and also member and of Rockford Golf Club, Rockford 100, which does appear on there because of flooding.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Ward. Nothing personal. Veronica, have you got all of those? Right. As we go through, if anyone becomes aware of an area they need to record a declaration of interest, please make them aware, and I will add mine as a member of Rockford 100 Golf Club. Please, if you can add that, please, Veronica. So, really good point. Thank you, Councillor Steptoe, for raising that. That's a very important point. Thank you. Councillor Stanley, you have your hand up.
No, I'm trying to take it down. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good luck on that one. Right. Okay. Right. That moves us on to verbal updates from partners, and I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. David Chapman, Essex County Council. Good to see you, Mr. Chapman. Really pleased that this time Essex County Council have supported us by attending the meeting. I think we were expecting Mr. Roger Webster from the Environment Agency, and
He's here.
he's on there.
Yes.
So a warm welcome to you, Mr. Webster.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah.
And Mark Lloyd from Anglian Water. And the
He's here.
System is work. Thank you, Councillor Ward. And the system seems to be working quite well. So welcome, gentlemen. And I think that completes all the partner agencies with us. So that's really good. Thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon. So the next item, as I say, is item 4, verbal updates from partners. So Environment Agency, we revert to Mr. Webster if you want to cover any general items before we get into the specifics on the agenda today.
I just wanted to make you aware that I've been working with Dave Chapman and Councillor Stanley on looking at the issues at Rawreth and Rawreth Shot. We're currently working or looking at options for a scheme upstream on the 3 main rivers that drain into Rawreth, so North Benfleet Brook, Chichester Hall Brook and Rawreth Brook. We're looking to work with the Friends of Wick Country Park, which I know is in Basildon area, but we're trying to look at ways of slowing the flows and storing flows upstream of Rawreth to manage the flows. So I've been working in partnership with those partners. I've been on a couple of, one site meeting with Jeff down at, which I think is on there, Kimberley Road. So there's other visits that we're going to be looking at as well in the future, down near the fire station in Rayleigh as well, where there's a flooding issue. So yeah, that's basically me at the moment.
Thank you very much indeed. And if we can go to Anglian Water, Mark Lloyd. Right, it doesn't look as if Mark Lloyd is receiving us. We're certainly not receiving him. So while hopefully Mark Lloyd can sort out his sound issues, can we move to the David Chapman, Essex County Council?
Afternoon, everyone. Just to follow on from what Roger said at Rawrath, we are also looking at delivering some highway upgrades as part of that. So there's a two-phased approach. So the work that Roger is looking at, and we're working with him on Wick Country Park and Rawrath Shop, but also I have got a contractor looking at some of the small-scale interventions that was part of our discussion with Councillor Stanley, Marcus Houghton, when we went out to Church Road, Rawrath as well. I'm still waiting for the contractor to get back to me on that one, but we are looking to hopefully progress those in the not too distant future. So I'll keep everybody in the loop as and when more information becomes available.
That's good. Thank you very much indeed for that overview and update. And we go back to Mark Lloyd to see whether Mark has been able to connect. Sadly, it appears not. It would be quite nice if Jeff, Veronica, Sonia, whoever's on the line, were able to try and make contact and see why he's not coming through.
Will do, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, okay. I think we move now to Jeff Stacey to take us through the main meat of the agenda, which is going through in order. And before I hand over to Jeff, I do want to thank you very much indeed, Jeff, for doing what we asked in the last Flood Forum, is putting a much better structure and order into these issues so that we can go through area by area, understand what the issue is and the action needed and who is going to take ownership of that action. I think you've made a significantly good start on moving forward with that. I know since the agenda was issued, you've further updated that report, but I think we'll pass over to you to guide us through item 5 on RDC update and reports of flooding issues along with our partners. Can I hand over to you, Jeff, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's just sort of really going through all the issues that have either been notified to us, both through the forum and any time sort of during the year. And this is an opportunity just to sort of look at progress and sort of see where we are and get some up-to-date comments from partners. I will incorporate those into an update of the sort of list of issues that we've got, and then that can go out with the minutes to give us a summary of where we are with all these different issues. So going through them in order, the first one is Ashington. I've even put them in alphabetical order. First one is Ashington Lower Road and Ashington Road, which was some work was proposed by Essex County Council Highways. I've got some comments here from directly from Highways from Richard Baranowski. I don't know, Dave Chapman, if you want to cover those or whether you just want me to run through Richard's comments.
Unfortunately, I don't have any information from Essex County Highways. I'm not here to sort of represent them. Hopefully, I was thinking that maybe Richard Baranowski or somebody from Highways would be here, but it doesn't look like they are. So, Jeff, I don't have anything to add other than what you've already got from my colleagues in Highways.
Okay. No, that's fine. I'll cover the comments that Roger sent me just before the meeting. So Richard sent me just before the meeting. So that's fine. Thank you. Yes, the issue there was the Essex Highways comment. They haven't attended due to traffic management and permit difficulties. At this time, not aware of any serious flooding here, although will be attending when an opportunity arises. I think they did actually make an attempt to do some work there, but found that they needed to have a proper traffic management system in place before they could do that effectively. The next one is 29 Braes Lane, Ashington.
Right, just if you can hold off there, Jeff, because as hands are going to go up, we'll give an opportunity at the end of each item to take any comments. Councillor Laureen Shaw.
Thank you, Simon. Jeff, I've been speaking with Lee Scott on this for Highways down Ashton Road. They've got a problem. They've tarmacked some of the drains down there because they haven't got the drain covers to complete the jobs, and they don't know when they're getting them. So that is going to not help the flooding issue at all there. I've chased Lee again today before we come into this meeting. So that's just an update that they're around the region. They're actually putting temporary solutions, which isn't, they're tarmacking over the drains. Okay, so it isn't helping.
No.
I just thought I'd give you an update.
Okay, thank you for that. And just, I would certainly like to make a point there. Thank you, Councillor Laureen Shaw. I think this is going to be rather repetitive when we're talking about pavement and street flooding. I get extremely frustrated at the general lack of maintenance by the County Council and Highways on clearing out drains. I don't think we can be surprised that we receive flooding when our infrastructure that is supposed to remove water is blocked or not regularly maintained. So I think that's going to be a bit of a repetitive issue, because it is quite clear to me as I ride around the district that there are many drains in this area that are blocked through natural causes, or dare I say, people that have building work done. It seems to be a way that builders sweep their bits of mess, sand and rubbish down drains, but it does cause me quite a bit of frustration. Councillor Mike Steptoe.
Yes, picking up on what you're saying there, Simon, it's I think I'm going to partly involve Rochford with this. I've got a particular issue around Warner's Bridge, where drains are getting blocked up with the detritus that is left on the side of the road. I don't believe Rochford Council is clearing the side of the roads regularly enough. And if you go up Warner's Bridge from Rochford End, you can see a massive build-up of muck that is on the side of the road that is simply not being cleared. So I think there is some liability in the road sweeping aspect of Rochford District Council itself.
Yep, no, really good point, and thank you for that. And somewhere, Veronica, you'll pick that up in a minute so that we can put all of this together. But that's more of a general point. Sorry to depart from the specifics. But Jeff, back to you on running through your list. Unfortunately, you're on mute, Jeff.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying I've got some technical issues here. Unfortunately, my screen's gone blank, so I can't see what the next one was. I believe that was Braes Lane.
29 Braes Lane.
Yeah, just trying to get my screen back. Yes, there was an issue there which was investigated, and I believe they found no specific problems there. So no further action on that one.
Can I just jump in there, Jeff?
Yeah, sure.
Basically, the site was investigated by, as it says on the minutes, by our watercourse regulation engineer. He's actually carried out what we call a section 23, which is a consenting process. So all of the actions down there have now been covered off by an official consent.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. And so if everyone agrees, that will be closed on this listing, but it will still be visual for us to see, so that we build up a log of actions taken and actions closed. Thank you for that. Moving on to Moons Close to Highcliffe Crescent. Jeff Stacey, you're on mute.
Chairman,
Yes.
do we have anybody else to take over while Jeff is trying to sort himself out? Because we could be here for a quite considerable time if we carry on like this.
Well, I agree, but the short answer to your question is no.
Oh, okay.
Because Jeff is our responsible officer within RDC that pulls all of this together. So I'm afraid I'm a little bit in Jeff's hands, but I do agree with you. It could be a little laborious, so we try and speed it up once we get links back to him. Jeff, you're on mute. Are you able to get the mute off, or? I think the answer to that is no.
Maybe he should go out and come back in again. For you, Chairman, Mark Lloyd has sent an apologies for technical issues. He can hear you but can't hear for some reason, but you can't hear him.
Right, I think we had this problem last time with Anglian Water.
Maybe again, Mark may wish to get out and then come back in again, try again.
This is all now starting to be a good reason why we don't have this virtually, but I would have thought this was an ideal meeting if people's systems were to have virtually, but it's a little frustrating.
Well, Mark has taken that advice and has gone out and trying to reconnect again.
And what I am going to ask is that officers generally, if they have unreliable internet connections at home, they should be using their office systems to actually conduct these meetings. This is an official meeting, and if their own internet is unstable from home, I'm afraid they need to be in their office where hopefully it can be more stable. Sorry, I'm ignoring the hands up. Councillor Joe McPherson.
Thank you, Chairman. It's only an idea if one of our other officers could share the agenda. If Mr. Stacey can see that, then at least he can read from the screen and we can go through it as a team, and our guests can contribute through it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we'll have to review things if in the light of experience from this meeting. But Councillor Mrs. Christine Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think one of the problems, as you've quite identified, is if someone's working from home with an unstable internet connection, but obviously if they're in the office, they would have the opportunity to go to another office and use another screen. So it's certainly something that needs to be looked into for the future.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And it looks as if Mark Lloyd might have joined us.
Yep.
Apologies. I can hear you all and you can hear me now, I hope.
And see you.
Oh, nice. We're getting there. We're getting
Yep. No,
there.
that's moving forward.
There's no real update from us at the moment, but obviously we'll comment on anything we need to assist with when we go through the list. But yeah, I can communicate with you now, which is a good start.
No, we're moving forward. Thank you very much indeed, Mark.
No problem.
Jeff Stacey, are you back with us? Right. In the absence of Jeff, I'm just going to go through the list and see whether or not we can get any comments, please, from the lead agency. Moon's close to Highcliffe Crescent is where I believe we are, and the lead agency there is Essex County Highways. So we look to you, David. Have you got anything you can help us with?
No, unfortunately, Councillor Wood, like I said, is that the updates are from Richard, which I'm assuming he sent over to Jeff. So Jeff can then update. I don't have any contact with Richard, and I don't have any update on the Essex Highways matters, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Laureen Shaw.
Thank you, Simon. Sorry I had to turn my screen off, but it was actually Lee Scott that was ringing me on another matter. And I did mention we were having this highways, and David couldn't answer the questions for highways. He said if we need to reschedule another meeting on this, he will do. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. We can't continue like this. This is hopeless. Councillor Chris Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman. The Moon's Close says that the Essex Highways will send a jetting crew and check with Anglian Water. Can Anglian Water give us an update? Have they been in contact with the highways and got it jetted?
Right. Well, what I'm concerned about is it's all going to get a little unstructured because you're right to sort of be asking the question, but Jeff Stacey is our coordinator on this. Now, it looks
He's back.
Jeff might be back. Jeff, are you? The sun's
Hopefully I'm back
streaming
if you can hear me.
Yes.
Good. Right. Okay. Can we just have one voice at a time, please? Can we just sort of keep it fairly formal in terms of structure? Otherwise, we get cross voices. Right. Jeff, we were on Moon's Close, but we're hoping to speed up the agenda a bit. Can you just talk me through that one?
Yeah. Okay. Essex Highways comment. This was last attended in December 2020 by our jetting crew. At that time, no issues were found with our drainage system. The jetting report again suggests downstream capacity issues under heavy rainfall. And then in brackets, that's an Anglian Water responsibility. The cyclical gully cleanse is due in Rockford on the main road network in the latter part of 2021, and it will be starting shortly.
Thank you very much. No further comments I see on that one. So we move on to 621 Ashington Road.
Yeah, again, an Essex Highways comment. Block ditches were attended in this vicinity a number of years ago. A gully defect was raised by a highways inspector earlier this year. This defect was attended on the 28th of October and was cleared. So that's obviously fairly recent. So we wait to see how effective that is.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Again, no hands there. We move on, I think, to Battlesbridge.
Yes, yeah, I did a visit there and produced a report specifically on that area because there were a number of issues. The Essex Highways comment is around the Timber Wharf cottages. That's obviously a private road. It's not maintainable public highway. And apart from that, they say we are not aware of any drainage issues at the Chelmsford Road Beaches Road junction, which was not the information that I was given. So we'll have to follow that one up again.
Okay, Councillor Chris Stanley, you put up your hand.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Could I ask the question for the Battlesbridge area? Was the gates or the I don't know whether you call it the gates or whatever you call it. Are they maintained as open and not closed at any particular time?
Sorry, not something I have any knowledge of.
Do we have any knowledge from the Environment Agency or the flood, Dave Chapman?
Nothing from me, Councillor Stanley.
No, sorry, I don't know anything about those either, I'm afraid.
Okay, so that's obviously an item to take away.
Could I just say that it seems strange that we don't know anything about them, and yet that's where all the water's going to from all areas. So somebody's got to have control of them. Perhaps that could be put on the agenda for next time, please.
Yeah, I agree, and your comments have been noted, and certainly that's the reason for going through this stuff, so that we get someone who coordinates and takes ownership of a particular issue that is raised. So thank you, Councillor Stanley. Right, I think we're on to Canewton now.
Yeah. Yes, a comment from Essex Highways on this one was no location details. If we can provide some further details, they'll investigate. I don't know if anybody has got any further information on that one. If not, I'll refer back to my original notes and get back in touch with whoever raised that in the first place.
I think Councillor Laureen Shaw may be offering to help there.
Yeah, this was been going on for a couple of years now. It's off Scots Hall Road. You get to the junction there, you go into Anchor Lane. If you turn left to Larkshill, it's a drain there, literally on the corner of Anchor Lane, Scots Hall. Highways came and did tarmac the road and put all their rubbish down the drain, and that's where it's blocked.
Thank you
and
very
I
much.
pointed this out when we were at Rayleigh Chamber.
Thank you very much indeed. Disappointing to see that it's still on the list in that case, if we've already identified location and not been resolved. Paglesham?
Yes, again, a fairly detailed comment from Essex Highways on this one. Their comment is, this was passed across for further investigations to be carried out as part of a surface water alleviation scheme. The site has been visited and a preliminary design has been explored, which would require extensive works. Thus, further avenues are currently being explored and continued, with including a recent discussion with Anglian Water. In the interim, we will continue to undertake preventative cleanses of the existing soakaway 3 or 4 times a year and undertake reactive maintenance accordingly. The soakaway was attended and cleaned on the 28th of October 2021.
Okay, before I bring Councillor Laureen Shaw in, this is in my own ward area. The word reactively is not acceptable to me when the pub becomes regularly flooded due to the inadequacy of the drainage infrastructure. They've been talking about this for 3 years now, and it really is time that this one was sorted out. It's more than just cleaning out the soakaway. Then we keep talking about it. I've been involved in meetings, and it's not acceptable that places are regularly flooded, and yet the time just rolls along without actually finding a solution. That's all I wish to say. Councillor Laureen Shaw.
Thank you. Yeah, as Simon, this is also in my ward. The late Terry Cutmore brought this to the attention in 2008, and we're still arguing who is going to do this. The guy is having real problems at the pub, and last week I got photographs, this week I've got photographs. It is still being flooded. So they may have done a little bit of work out there, but it certainly hasn't helped, and we really need to get this sorted, as per our chairman has said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Right, so Apton Hall Road.
Yes, an Essex Highways comment. Yes, the system outfalls to an open ditch. This is a private drainage system there. So the system outfalls to an open ditch. So they're not seeing that as a highways matter. They're saying that the ditch is overwhelmed.
So who is the owner of it then? I suppose that's my next question.
Yes, I would agree. It's a question of trying to establish who has responsibility for maintenance of that ditch.
Right, so that's an outstanding action. Have we got any further comments on that one? That's an outstanding action that needs to be. Councillor Chris Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman. Although it is the right parent ownership of the ditch, it's where the water goes from that ditch along to wherever it goes to, as it's got to drain away. And if that is blocked in any shape or form, the water is obviously going to overflow. So I would suggest, if I may, that someone needs to check to where the ditch actually runs to, or where the water would run to if it just overflows. Thank you.
Oh, I agree with you, Councillor Stanley. Our difficulty at the moment is finding the someone. I agree with you, but someone needs to take ownership of it. And can we leave it to you, Jeff, please, to try and find out who's going to take ownership? Someone must be able to help on this. Councillor Steptoe.
Yes, thank you. Surely the answer is simple. It's the riparian landowner.
May well be. Okay.
Sorry, Councillor Wootton, is it all right if I just stand in as well? If the details of the approximate location are sent over to us at the floods team, and I can provide the generic email if we don't have it already, then we can go out and have a look at the riparian ownership responsibilities and landowners from there and report back.
That's really helpful. Thanks very much indeed. I mean, what I'm keen to do in the first instance is get who is the responsible body. I'm quite relaxed who they are, but agreeing if it's a riparian owner issue or whether or not it's a statutory authority.
Yes, if you send the details, somebody sends the details over. If it's Jeff, then we can send it over to the inbox and we'll investigate from there.
Lovely. Okay, moving on. Hawkwell, Clements Hall Way.
Yes, if I may, there were a number of sort of issues that were raised around Hawkwell, which I went in and investigated and sort of traced it all through. They were all linked together to the Hawkwell Brook in Clements Hall Way, Woodside Chase, and Belshamps, and I've done a report that sort of links all into sort of all of those, and I think it's really discussing in the future with partners a wider solution to the whole of the sort of Hawkwell Brook, and what we might do there to sort of see what's happening. Certainly, on the time I investigated, it was all sort of fairly clear. I mean, you'll see a couple of those reports relate to blockages due to fly tipping and everything. The only thing I found in the whole of the area I checked was one bike. So that seems to be sort of fairly clear at the moment. But I want to look at a sort of wider piece of work around the Hawkwell Brook in general. And then just one final comment on the railway bridge at Rectory Road. The Essex Highways comment is that this was last cleared in March. They recognise it's a known low spot, and it is difficult for them to attend to due to difficulty with traffic management.
Thanks. As I said earlier, we can record our declaration of interest. If I, please, Veronica, can have my declaration of interest recorded for Clements Hall Way, as I actually live on the Christmas tree estate there. So if that can be recorded, you've Jeff moved on to the railway bridge. Is that's a linked piece of work, is it?
Not as much. That's not directly relating to the Hawkwell Brook. That's I think that's more just sort of general runoff and water in the road, with it being such a low spot where the road dips underneath the railway bridge.
Okay, did I miss it? But did you talk about Woodside Chase?
Yeah, Woodside Chase. The report there was maintenance relating to sort of removal of fly tipping. Certainly at the time I attended, there was nothing there.
Okay. Anything that is linked to RDC to investigate or look at? Perhaps you would be kind enough to work with other officers and the portfolio holder to get a structured approach to how we move these things forward, if that's all right, please, Jeff.
Yes, I mean that one, as I say, it sort of relates to the Hawkwell Brook, and when Roger from the Environment Agency spoke earlier, he was talking about a visit that we proposed. Unfortunately, it had to be cancelled last time because of well, a number of problems, including flooding. We picked a bad day, but we're rescheduling that, and there's a number of areas that we want to look at that relate to this.
Okay, thank you for that. You talked about the railway bridge at Rectory Road, and it just seems amazing to me that every time we get something a little bit excessive in rainfall, we talk about several bridges in the district. And I just don't know why we can't get some sort of permanent solution in place, because it causes absolute mayhem to traffic when these areas are blocked up. And we just know they're going to be blocked up because the infrastructure there is inadequate. And I think there should be a more determined effort to find a solution in 2021. Councillor Judy Gooding.
Yeah, picking up on the railway bridge, which obviously I've reported many times, to say that it's traffic management which is the problem. What is the solution? What is Jeff or the authorities planning to do to manage the traffic management? Because we can't just say it's a problem because we can't manage the traffic. It's got to be cleaned out. That's what was agreed in our previous minutes.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yes, I can pass that comment on. Obviously, it's not for me to comment on the sort of highways operations. As you say, certainly there is an increased frequency of cleaning, but that causes its own disruption with the traffic management whilst they're doing it. But yes, I'll certainly pass those comments on to the Essex Highways.
Okay, and presumably, Dave Chapman, you're making a little note from an Essex point of view as well.
Yes, yeah, noted.
Good, because it seems to be a surprise to various people that under the number of bridges that we have in this district, that we get a little bit more than normal rainfall. And I'm not talking about extreme by any means, that these places flood, and we really shouldn't be experiencing this time and time again. And if the cleaning regime or if the pumping regime needs to be stepped up, so be it. It needs to be done. Belchamps is next on my list.
Yes, I mean that's part of the site visit I did, which links into the Hawkwell Brook report, which I say we're looking to look at as a whole, because they're all sort of linked areas, and there's possible solutions that may be able to assist, really from sort of Hockley Woods right through down to the far station at Rockford.
Good. Okay. Moving on to Hockley, Plumrow Avenue.
Yes, I've no update on that.
Yeah, I've got one, Jeff, if you like. So basically,
I was hoping you might say that. Thank you.
The Planning Permission for 126 went through our SUDS team for consultation back in 2019, and there was a number of conditions placed on that site that needed to be adhered to. Now, where that's gone through after that process, I've referred back to Rockford District Council's planning department to see whether or not those conditions have been adhered to. But there were a number attached to the consent that were awarded for that particular application.
Councillor, sorry, Jeff.
No, just acknowledging that that one. Carry on, please.
That's helpful. Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Ward.
Yeah, as far as I know, from one of the, well, quite a few of the residents, very little has been done and the problem is still there. Yeah, there is an issue with planning and enforcement, I believe, but as yet, a meeting was due to be taken with Marcus Houghton and the residents in that area. But that has not happened. There are lots of issues around there that need to be, clarified. It's still ongoing and a problem.
Okay, and certainly I'm aware of that one, and really that ought to be being resolved, because if there is a planning issue or for whatever reason there's enforcement issues, we ought to be dealing with that.
I'm sure that the conditions have been passed over as part of the consultation process, but if you need those to be resent again, I can get somebody to send those over. There were 3 conditions that were placed on that application as well. So if more information is needed, then please let me know.
Thanks a lot. Westminster Drive.
Yes, that's a fairly recent one onto the onto the list of issues that I've got. I have visited there to sort of have a look and see what the concern is. That's something I need to make some further initial inquiries about and see where we can take that.
Thank you. Moving on to Hullbridge, Watery Lane.
Yes, an update from Essex Highways here. They're saying a preventative cleanse was undertaken on the 20th of the 9th, 21. We also cut back vegetation. We are aware the road flooded recently. However, we understand that the floodwater abated once the outfalls had cleared. I understand a request was made to Rochford District Council to sweep the road as there was substantial silt and debris on the road. We will again undertake an inspection with a view to a preventative cleanse in the spring, although this may be brought forward dependent on weather conditions later this year.
Thank you. Thank you. Allian, right. Councillor Stanley, your hand is up.
Thank you, Chairman. I understand that Watery Lane is, if you like, closed off on the Wednesdays for litter picking and cleaning of the ditch of the drains. Is this still is this still an ongoing situation? And are those drains cleared as they should be? Thank you.
Anyone got an answer to Councillor Stanley? No, it would appear not, but perhaps Councillor Stanley's comments could be noted and someone could get back to him with a response, please.
Thank you, Chairman.
Moving on to Mallions.
Yeah, so with concerns sent through to me over the flooding linked to the Barrett David Wilson development. So I did go on site, met with representatives of the developers, looked at the arrangements that they had for sort of controlling flood and everything, and I couldn't see that there was anything that sort of related to the site that was affecting nearby properties. The main issue seemed to be the ditch, which is not on the building site, but runs through the back gardens of a number of the houses, and it was the maintenance in those back gardens that was causing the problems.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. You have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I went over there with Councillor Michael Hoy some time back, and we did have a look, and we went to the area, and it would seem as if there had been some building of how can I put it, a private pub at the back of someone's garden, and just extended on their own area, and it may have caused some of the blockages that were going on. There was nothing much we could do about it, but it might be noted that we may need to have an enforcement officer going around the back there just to have a look, because that ditch is off of the main development area and is in across the private gardens, which should be maintained by themselves. I guess, again, this is a riparian ownership thing, I would imagine. And somebody has decided, in their building, maybe blocked those ditches up.
Thank you. Right, moving on to the Dome Caravan Park.
Yes, got a comment from Essex Highways. They're saying in this area, Essex Highways have limited gullies. The gullies are dependent on the adjacent ditches being cleared. My understanding is that they are not adequately maintained by the adjacent landowners. Thank you.
Now, I've been approached by a resident who has confirmed exactly what you've said, but there's valves and gates, floodgates and stuff left open in the open position, but silted up. I wonder whether, together with the portfolio holder, a site visit could be arranged down there so that I can see it for myself. But clearly, it seems to be a maintenance issue, which we as an authority need to get onto if it is an enforcement issue. Councillor Stanley?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'm often past that area, and you're quite right. There is somewhat a lack of maintenance around there. So I'm not at all surprised. As you say, perhaps we can somehow, I don't know how we can enforce the right parent owners of the park to do some more maintenance than what they're doing at the moment, but it would be gratefully received, I'm sure.
Thank you very much indeed. Holbridge Road opposite Lubbard's Farm.
Yeah, if I may, Chairman, just before we move on from the Dome, I will be doing a site visit coming up soon. It's actually with one of our housing team, but we will be meeting with the person who deals with the on-site maintenance. And I'll take the opportunity to talk to them about sort of what's happening. I also have contact with the sort of overall owners of the site, which are a company elsewhere, and I have sort of contacts there for their maintenance, and I have spoken to them about maintenance before. So, as an initial step, I can certainly follow that up and see what response I get.
Okay, well, certainly, Jeff, I would like to be involved in a site visit with the particular resident, and opportunity for the portfolio holder together with the ward councillors to visit the site so that we can decide what we're going to collectively do.
Okay.
Right, moving on to Lubbard's Farm.
Right. Essex Highways comments. The site was visited last week following heavy rainfall. No flooding was observed, and the Essex Highways ditch, although looks untidy with vegetation, is functioning adequately, and we are not aware of any asset defects here. No works are planned at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Stanley again.
Sorry to have to keep jumping in like I am, but it is my area. Just to say that the new roundabout where the drains have been put in at the roundabout, unfortunately they all got blocked up with leaves, and therefore some of the water was going towards Holbridge in the road, unfortunately not in the ditch. But the ditch that has been produced at the side of the roundabout, the new ditch, seems to be taking a considerable amount of water. Nevertheless, Unfortunately, with all the debris that comes down from Hambro Hill, hits that roundabout somewhat atrociously. We cannot stop it in any way, but we do need to keep control of the clearing the drains around that roundabout and the zebra crossing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Grassmere Avenue and the drive.
Yes, the issue here is sort of resolving the ownership. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Is resolving the ownership of the sort of land between between the back gardens of two roads there. We've done some searches and it shows that as sort of unregistered land, so none of the agencies have either sort of responsibilities or powers to act. I mean, I did look when I was down there and couldn't even identify access to the area. It does seem to be sort of very enclosed by the gardens. I mean, it really does seem to be something for resolution by the residents, because again, it's sort of development of sort of in that area, which seems to be causing the problems.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little unsatisfactory from the resident point of view. We need to sort of think how we can work with residents on that. Right, no further comment. Right. Okay, moving on to Rayleigh Rorath, flooding on London Road.
Yep. Yes, I think this was what was covered by Dave Chapman in his sort of earlier update, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, the Rorath is what we updated myself and Roger on earlier. So yeah, there's nothing further to add to that one.
Yep. So I'll update that section to sort of reflect the what's happening now. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Ward.
Yeah, thank you. I visited that area. No, it's not mine, but I was down there and I went into one of the shops and they said they were flooded along there. Obviously, I've seen it before. It's like a bow wave that goes down that London road when it gets flooded. I have no idea what can be done about it. It just seems to flood down there from Rayleigh. It seems to be the natural watercourse. So I'm just interested to hear on what's going to happen ongoing. Thank you.
Councillor Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, this is London Road, which obviously the water, as has been said, the water comes down off of the hill. Part of the ditches on to the left-hand side, some of the ditches have been dealt with and cleared, but part of the ditches, that is the other side of the shops on that side, the ditch there, it doesn't do anything. It's full of God knows what, I wouldn't like to say, but it hasn't been cleared and hasn't been cleared for some time. In fact, last year when the ditch was cleared, it was outside the shops, but didn't continue, unfortunately. And I don't know who's that down to, whether it's Essex County Council or what. But part where in front of the shops, it was cleared, but not further on. And I suggest that could help towards the flooding. And the flooding was in Victoria Avenue on the corner of I can't remember the first road, but on the corner in Victoria Avenue, the ditch that leads around the back of the properties, from what I've heard, and it's only from what I've heard, that some residents have built over the ditch. In other words, extended their gardens. And if they're put in pipes, it should be an open ditch all the way down the back of the gardens. In fact, some of it has got pipes in, and if those pipes are blocked, then the two properties on the corner of that Victoria Road, they do get flooded, and they had 18 inches of water this past week when we had flooding. I noticed that you've only got London Road in there, Jeff. I suggest you put in Church Road and the rest of Rory, because that is a major problem, of which I'd like to speak on after this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Stanley. Swain Park.
Yes, I mean, just to, if I may, Mr. Chairman, respond to Councillor Stanley. Yes, I did get several reports, as you say, around the Victoria Road, Swain Close sort of area that came in when we had the recent heavy rain. It's by this time the information had gone out for this meeting, but I will certainly be adding that detail to them. Thank you very much. Yes, Swain Park. I've no more to add than what's there at the moment. I don't know if there's anybody else can help on that one.
Yes, sure. I'll jump in on this one again if you like. This is basically going through the statutory consultee process, much in the same way as which Plumrow Avenue did that I reported on earlier. As far as I'm aware, the consultation hasn't gone out yet, but it is due to go out soon. And I can send an update to Jeff once that I know a bit more about the status of that consultation response. But that's with us as a team for the statutory consultee response.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Councillor Stanley, you seem to be chipping in with every point. Can we keep it very brief, please?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Again, this is part of my area, and Swain Park, the car park entrance to Swain Park does get flooded, and it comes off of the park itself. I have been in contact with Marcus and Adam Aldridge about putting a ditch putting a not a ditch, a land drain into the ditch at the front of Swain Park. I'm waiting for reports on that, as they've got to do a study, from what I understand, of heights and with a thalidomide to understand where the water goes. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Councillor Stanley, is the flooding there, and I'm not familiar with the area, but is the flooding there causing a particular problem, or is it just a large puddle that takes time to go? You're on mute, Councillor Stanley.
It's causing a problem to the properties adjacent to the entrance.
Okay, well, that certainly needs to be looked into. Yeah. Grove Road, Jeff?
Yes, again, no further update that I'm aware of, unless Anglian Water are able to join us at the moment.
Yeah, I can give you an update on that. Can you hear me?
Yep, you can.
Okay, so obviously we put the new pumps in 2016. Because of this was raised, we've done a trend of the telemetry we've got for that pumping station for the last 5 years. During adverse weather, the pumps operate perfectly. What we're going to do now is jetting and CCTV of the actual trunk sewers on Grove Road, just to make sure there's no issues with the sewers running into the station. That's due in the next 4 weeks to be completed. So as soon as I get an update on that, I can let everybody know.
Thank you very much. Eastwood Road.
Chairman, can I come in, please?
Sorry, Councillor Ward, missed you. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because Grove Road in my area, they had serious flooding there the other week, sewerage, lots of complaints. I sent photos to Jeff, which I assume he would have passed on to you, so you could have a look at. We know there is a serious capacity issue there, and has been for quite a time. We were promised a serious update in the pumping. We're not talking about 2016. We were looking at monies being invested in 2020. Obviously, with COVID, they weren't. 2021 was the date. Obviously, we're running out of 2021. 2022, and I know Mark Francois, the MP, was very much involved initially in this and had a conversation with your chief executive, Mr. Simpson, I believe, in regards to this. And I believe he would like a report back as to what is being done, because as far as he can see, nothing is being done because all he's getting is complaints. So I don't know if you can try and get something on that, please, Mark, to come back to Jeff in some way or another, because I know that he's getting lots of letters and nothing seems to be occurring. I'm sure it is, but they just want to know the promises that Simpson made that this would be sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, it's with the flood modelling team at Anglian Water. They're heavily reliant on the surveys that we're going to do. We need to do full CCTV surveys so that we can see the integrity of our pipework, make sure everything's fine. Once we give that data to them, I'll then chase the flood team that we've got and ask them to put together some sort of report so that we can at least give a proper update.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And if I can just, I noticed it's not on Rayleigh, which is Noble's Green Ditch. I just need to ask Jeff, the maintenance of that ditch, when is the date set for that maintenance to carry out? And also, I did send you a report that on the last bit of flooding, we've had parts of the embankment fall away. Quite concerned, and residents are concerned because that is an integral part of protecting the whole of the Poets Estate. And that could be flooded if that disappears. So I just wondered if Roger from the Environment Agency would carry out an inspection just to check on, you know, the safety, and if any remedial work needs to be done on that ditch, whether he will be looking to carry that out, because obviously from 1 metre up, I believe it still is Environment Agency responsibility. And although we clear the vegetation to get the flow now.
Could you send me the details, Councillor Ward? It won't be me specifically doing it, but I'll pass it on to our asset performance team to have a look.
I sent it all to Jeff to actually undertake that last week, to send that out on both of those issues. Yep. So I would appreciate, you know, that. But also, if Jeff, do you know when the maintenance? I think Adam Aldridge is possibly in charge of that part. I don't know if Dave could help. Dave Sperry.
I'm not sure about that, Ian. I'll have to have a word with Adam.
Okay.
Okay. The important thing is the issue is logged for the purposes of this meeting. Councillor Ward, thank you very much indeed.
Can I just put in one other thing? I sent in another one, basically on Nobles Green. Someone had stuck in a dishwasher or dumped some kind of washer in the actual ditch, which needs to be removed. That's all. That was only recent over the weekend.
This is in Eastwood Road, is it?
This is in Nobles Green Ditch.
That's not initially, that's an environment issue, Ian.
Okay.
You should have had an email to that effect.
Okay, I haven't had it. Okay.
Okay, and I don't know how I missed your bright yellow hand on that occasion, Councillor Ward. Apologies. So, right, moving on to Hockley Road.
Yeah, just covering Eastwood Road. Yes, not sure where we go with that one. The Essex Highways comment is that their stance is unchanged. It's not classed as an adopted, maintainable public highway. So we're not quite sure how we establish who the responsibility is for that one in Eastwood Road and Eastwood Rise.
Again, can I come back on this? This is ongoing. This apparently, when the works were done along Eastwood Rise, the road should have been adopted. This was promised to the residents in a letter by a gentleman called Philip Lord, who was Essex County Council. I passed that letter on to Sean Sutton, who was the managing director, and he sent it on to the legal department at Essex. That letter is still in Essex, and they are still determining how they're going to deal with this. This seems to be a legal issue that I think they have disavowed Philip Lord from them, although he was acting on their behalf.
Okay, Jeff, you made a note of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it helps, I can take that offline with Jeff to fill him in.
Okay, all right. I'm just concerned we need to speed it up a bit and get through these items, but it's all useful background information. Right. I think we're at Hockley Road now, aren't we?
Yeah. That was a report that I got. I went and had a look following heavy rain. I think further work had been done on the site, and certainly I didn't see any evidence. And Essex Highways have commented that they're not aware of any highway maintenance issues there. Yes, they feel it's something, if there is a problem, that should be addressed through the developer.
Okay, Councillor Sperring, I know you've been. Oh yeah, you got your hand up actually.
Yeah, I think the settling tank is in the wrong place, Chairman. It's at the top of the development, and the water is all running down from it. I mean, it hardly gets filled up. But I was out there when we were having some very heavy rain. There was hardly any water in the settling tank, but further down the road, going through everybody's houses and gardens, it was quite torrential. So my feeling is that the settling tank has been put in the wrong place. But perhaps we can discuss that. I've highlighted it previously, but you know, I don't quite know where we go from this.
But it should be a fairly straightforward planning matter, I would have thought.
Yep.
Right, so that's within the remit of RDC to sort out, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay, all right. I'm sure the appropriate action has been recorded there, and I'd like to know the outcome of that. Moving on to Rockford, Sutton Road.
Highways comment there. They're just saying they've nothing further to add at this time.
Okay. All Road.
Chairman, can I come in now, please?
Sorry, Councillor Septo.
Yeah, with regards to Sutton Road, I have received notifications, Councillor, that some drainage works are going to be carried out at the junction of Purdy's and Sutton Road, which means closing the road overnight for 6 days. I'm unable to determine what that drainage work is, whether it is connected to this particular issue or whether it's a different issue. To date, I've not received back any emails from anybody to inform me exactly what the situation is there. So I don't know if anybody can help me there.
I don't know, David, are you able to help there?
No, again, unfortunately, my colleagues in Essex Highways haven't reported anything to me on that, but I'll try and follow that if need be, or I can have a conversation with Richard to see whether he knows any more about it.
Okay, we're certainly.
Chairman, if could I just quickly come back on that? Could you correspond with me with that by direct email, please?
Sure, will do. Yes, no problem, Councillor Steptoe.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I was just going to say that as part of your division, Councillor Steptoe, you would expect dialogue direct with officers within county on that one, wouldn't you? Moving on to Hall Road development.
Yes, both this and the next one, the Rockford 100 Golf Club. When we have the meeting with Environment Agency, those are both areas that we want to have a look at and how they link into the main watercourses.
Thank you, Councillor Steptoe again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. With regards to the Hall Road, I am actually meeting with planning officers tomorrow on site because it appears that the drainage that runs along Hall Road itself from the new roundabout towards Rockford is not being connected into the SUD system and is still running into the original ditch that runs back along the back of the properties in Oak Road. So we suspect that it may be they've complied with planning conditions at this stage, but that is something that I'm meeting with officers tomorrow to discuss.
Thank you, Councillor Steptoe. Councillor Ward.
Yeah, from what I understand, I think Noble's Green Ditch, and I think there's the other one that comes through Wyburn's Wood. They join up and actually end up going through Rockford 100 Golf Club. So, you know, when there's heavy rain, literally it just floods vast areas of the course.
Thank you very much. Right, moving on to the.
If I could come back on that, just to clarify, the water and subsystems from Hall Road run over under Ironwell Lane and into the drainage system there, then run along the front of West Street and join in by the reservoir. They don't actually feed in by the golf course.
Thank you. Right, moving on to the Wakerings, the High Street in Great Wakering.
Yeah, update from Essex Highways. The surface water alleviation scheme was brought forward and works were undertaken to the drainage system in August 2021. Sections of the pipe were replaced and repaired, and the system was tested and left working. It has been monitored during rainfall, although there have been reports that the water is still holding during heavy rainfall. This may, of course, be a capacity issue due to the extreme rainfall, but will continue to be monitored.
Thank you, Councillor Joe McPherson.
Thank you, Chairman. Just, I think you might want to put on there that it's between 249 to 253, the High Street. Jeff, just so you're noted on that. Yeah, Councillor Lee Scott did email and say exactly what you've just said, Jeff, about the ad hoc jetter seem to have alleviated it. However, it is still flooding, and it's just not good enough that my residents are told that it's purely down to capacity issue. We need to do something about this. I wonder if our lovely Anglian Water gentleman, Mark, might be able to consider doing the sort of, was it like jet washing that you did down Little Wakering Road?
Yeah, we're happy to do that. We're sitting on a bit of a backlog at the minute, as you can imagine, after the storm we've just had. But I'm happy to send a CCTV unit down there in one of our recycler lorries. They'll give it a clean through, and then they'll put a robotic camera down to check everything. If you email me the details, I can get that arranged.
Smashing. I'll liaise with you and get the details and the person sent to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Mark, and thank you, Joe. Councillor Steptoe again.
Yeah, thank you for that. There's two areas in Great Wakering that I'm dealing with regards to what you're talking about. There's one outside the properties that Joe just mentioned. There's also the similar situation out number 75, where pipes have been replaced. I've got a horrible feeling that the pipes that Councillor Scott is referring to were the ones adjacent to 75 and not the other way. I need to clarify that. But having said that, it's the water flow running into the water system. They have been jetted through not too long ago, but it is a capacity issue. What I've asked County to look at, and I'm waiting for engineers to come back to me, is to look at the profiling of the road so the water spreads along the road more evenly rather than to pond outside particular properties. So that's something that I'm working on currently at the moment to see whether that's possible to actually achieve. We were successful with that with outside some other properties a little bit closer to the church, which seems to alleviate the problem. So it just spreads the water out through the system rather than all in one place.
Okay, thank you. Could that item be adjusted so as it reflects more precisely the specific addresses, as it appears to relate to two distinct areas within the High Street? Please, just as we get some tie up on those. Barling Road.
Yes, comment from Highways to say the ditch on the western side is on the main river map, so not an Essex Highways asset to maintain. So if that's main river, that would suggest Environment Agency. I'm not over familiar with that area, so I'm not sure.
And we have Councillor McPherson with her hand up, and then Councillor Steptoe.
Thank you again, Chairman. I think I might pass this back over to Councillor Steptoe, because I think he may mention what I'm going to raise, is the fact that a resident has sent a picture through of a pipe that is distilling water onto the highway by the shoulder stick. So that could cause this issue as well. I'll pass over to Councillor Steptoe now.
Yeah. Councillor Steptoe.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we are working on that. The ditch that you're referring to, Jeff, is what's known as Mucking Brook. It is the main watercourse that runs from Southend through to the Roach. It is under the riparian ownership of, in parts by Mr. Tabor. It is monitored by the Environmental Agency, but not maintained. It has come up several times in this particular context. The pipe that with regards to the running out onto the road, that's something I'm trying to identify at the moment. I'll come back to you further on that once I have more information.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right, Kimberley Road. Right, Kimberley Road.
Yes, we took a visit here with the Environment Agency to look at a lot of the issues in the area there. There was a report about erosion to a back fence from a watercourse, but in fact the whole area had been created by them creating a drive, rather than anything that had been done in relation to the watercourse. So really, we're saying that is a sort of responsibility of the owner. Essex County Council Highways have done maintenance on the road gullies in that area. There's also a pumping station there, the pumps of which have been replaced. But at the time we did the report, there hadn't been any heavy rain, so the Anglian Water may be able to update us on that. And then the sluice gate was a sort of issue there. But we sort of had a look at that and couldn't really see any sort of particular issues. So really, I think the only action that's still outstanding on that one is to get back to the owners who suffered the erosion to say it's where the drive to an additional property has been built, and the maintenance of that is their responsibility.
Can I jump in there as well, Jeff? Because there was a gate. You remember Richard Tutton? We met with Richard and Tutton Bennett a few years ago. So we replaced the duckbill flat there, but the landward side of that, Rockford are responsible for that. Richard at the time was going to replace the gate upstream, but that would never happened. So I'm not sure whether that's added in your report. I'm just reading your report.
That is correct.
Oh yes, yeah, the bottom there, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know whether Rockford are going to replace that.
Right.
I'll ask the question, yeah.
We've got Councillor Joe McPherson and then Councillor Mike Steptoe.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I did email over Jeff because the works that were meant to be done by the house where it's subsiding into the ditch have been done by 344A Little Wakeling Road, and also the bungalow to the rear, number 67 Kimberley. They've both completed the works. Glenn Shaw kindly came out from Essex County Council, wrote to them, that's been done. There's still some overgrowth that concerns local residents, but there hasn't been any flooding issues since. And I think a huge help to that has been Mark again and his team, who sort of power flushed down the drainage system. But there's concerns that it will come back again. So I just wanted to know if Mark can say whether that could be done annually.
Yeah, that should be on a 6 monthly maintenance program now. So the work that we carried out when we were all on site, that should be happening every 6 months.
Wonderful, thank you.
May not be a camera survey every 6 months, but the line will be cleaned through by the lorry every 6 months.
Thank you.
You're doing well this afternoon, Councillor McPherson. You're getting a commitment from Anglian Water on everything you're requesting. So well done. Councillor Steptoe.
Yes, thank you. This is the one item that I do need to declare a personal interest in because the whole this stream upstream runs through my garden. So it is something that I monitor extremely closely for obvious reasons. As Joe says, the repairs have been done to the side wall, which had collapsed, and they have now been done. Where the stream runs under the road, on the landward side, under Little Wakering Road, there is a concern that there may be a blockage there. I'm not sure who is responsible for that particular section because it disappears underground just into my garden and then doesn't come up under until it gets to the bit by Little Wakering Road. I think it's Anglian Water, but I need to be certain that perhaps we can have some clarification on that. That may need to be recamered again to see whether that is now clear. So.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Wootton, can I didn't really get an answer about this grill upstream. Are Rochford going to be replacing that?
Can I just come in? Can I just come in on that? The original works going back some 15 years ago, when the ditch was last dug out, was under the control of Rockford at that time. But my understanding that I've been given is that when the Lead Flood Forum was created, and it was therefore handed over to Essex County. So I think it may now be the responsibility of Essex rather than a Rochford district.
I only ask this question, whoever it is, because what happens sometimes in the holidays, what kids open the grill or the duckbill flap, which allows water to come back up and puts risk on the properties when there is a high tide. So a grill down there needs to be actioned, else we're going to have the same problem in the future.
Okay, well, your point has been noted, and Jeff, if you can record that in conjunction with the portfolio holder, we'll look into that. So I can't.
Chairman, sorry to interrupt. Can Roger contact me with that offline, please?
What do you want me to? Sorry, I don't know what more I can say. I've met with Jeff. We've outlined the issues there. Richard Tatton Bennett at the time said they were going to sort out this grill, and it's still not been sorted out. We've done our bit. We've replaced the duckbill flap from the original flap that was one of the old flaps which kids left open with the duckbill flap. That is not so easily possible now. We've done our bit. We're expecting somebody to do the other bit, else we're going to have the same problem. That's the only point I'm making.
And
I do have further information on that, but it's not here worth going through it here now. If you contact me offline, I'll explain the situation.
Okay, and if that action can be coordinated through Jeff Stacey so that it becomes a meaningful update on that item.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Right, I think we're down to Pointers Lane in Wakering Road now, aren't we?
Yes, comment from Essex Highways. Gullies here were attended and 2021. It was noted that the ditches needed further maintenance, which is a riparian owner responsibility.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I come in on this one, please?
Yeah, sure.
Right, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about here on this particular section. There is some road works due to be carried out at the junction of Wakering Road and Williams. That should be starting over the next couple of months or so. But some of those ditches that run along the side of the buildings there, the riparian landowner is actually the MOD.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Christine Mason. Mrs. Christine Mason.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, with your permission, go back on a previous item when you've completed Pointers Lane.
Okay, I think we've completed Pointers Lane in terms of noting the comments. So you go back by all means.
Thank you. Apologies for this, but I had the details very late and haven't managed to read it all before today. I'm going back to Hawkwell Brook. I've only just seen the report by the officer, and I can probably add some clarity to that to assist on the area of Woodside Road and Elmwood, where the culvert goes under the road and there's a ditch by it, Woodside Chase. I noticed that the report says it indicates that this stretches Rockford District Council. Going back, and I'm going back now, I hope this helps Mr. Stacey, over 10 years, Roger, I think it was Roger Cornwell, who you probably will recall, was then in charge of these issues. We had a site visit. There was flooding on that issue, and the floods actually went down to Hawkwell Chase, and properties were flooded, including the one on the corner of Elmwood Avenue. It was ascertained at that time that the responsibility for that culvert and the part under the road was in fact Anglian Water. And at that point in time, Anglian Water had a gate. I'm not sure if it's still there, lockable gate. Must admit, I haven't looked recently. They had a lockable gate there, and they gave the key to the gentleman that lived in number 1. I think it was number 1 Woodside, but the property next to it, Woodside Chase, because the residents used to jump over and clear it out because of the infrequency, perhaps, of the authorities doing so, is all I can say. So that, hopefully that added information helps. If you want any more information offline, Mr. Stacey, I'm quite happy to give it to you. Thank you.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Councillor Mrs. Mason. Now, we've been through the summary, this log, and that really becomes the core document for this meeting, because issues on there need some formal attention or resolution. So I'm very, very grateful to Jeff Stacey for pulling this together, but it becomes a living document, and I think there's some work that needs to be done over the next week or two to just bring it up to speed in the light of this meeting. But this will become the regular document for the Flood Forum, because those are the things that give us real focus in terms of what we're addressing. So thanks to all our partners, thanks to Jeff for putting that together, and thanks to ward councillors for feeding in valuable information. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to go to add something, if I may. It goes back to Hullbridge and Kingsman Farm Road. Now, it didn't come up on anything at all, but I have an item here, which I don't know if Jeff is aware of, and I don't know whether we have anything to do with, to be honest. But one of the members of Hullbridge Parish Council sent this to me, asking about the progress on insurance repair to the seawall defence at Kingsman Farm Road. Now, I wonder if that has any impact on Kingsman Farm, and could anyone help me with this so I can come back, because I really don't know. I haven't got an answer to it.
Okay. Well, perhaps the answer will come offline from Jeff Stacey, who can coordinate this. I really do want to move forward. Otherwise, the whole idea of going through the report was to take it line by line, which is what we've done. I don't really want to revisit loads of items on there. Councillor Ward, can you take that offline and work with Jeff Stacey and update the item, please?
I will send the email. I'll forward the email to him that I've received, and maybe he can deal with it directly then, please.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mrs. Christine Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You will appreciate this is the first time that I've been allowed to be involved in this report, and I found it quite illuminating. and very constructive, and I like the way it's done, but I would like to see some further information on the report if the committee so agrees. I was very concerned when Councillor Shaw said the Paglesham pub thing had been an issue since 2008, and I must admit I've been aware of it for about 10 years, so concerned that it was even longer than that. I wonder if we could have the dates when these items are first reported on there, which would rather flag up whether or not we're being proactive enough on that particular situation. Would that be possible, just to have the instigation date against the location, please?
I think that's a really good idea, and it's all part of building up a detailed report, which I suggest in due course this will become the detailed report, and there will be probably a summary spreadsheet or something just to give us a feel. And I think we need some sort of red, amber, green approach. I think this is a good start because it becomes the core document that it has a focus of attention on. But I think we need to build it up, certainly with the date of inception, because the one thing that I don't like is things just roll round and round and round. We need to actually get some conclusive action to resolve issues rather than talking about them every flood forum. So I would certainly support that point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Councillor Stanley, I do want to move on, but Councillor Stanley.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Could I ask, should for this committee, if you like, could we have a detailed, perhaps a drawing or something to indicate where this flooding has occurred and what we're doing? We don't seem to have. I know we're talking about areas, and those councillors that do represent those areas, they know where the flooding is, but those of us that don't, I'd like to see if we've got a map or something like that that can go with the comments. Well,
I think in fairness, Councillor Stanley, the whole idea of this, certainly the reason why the portfolio holder and I agreed to broadening it is exactly what's happened this afternoon, for councillors who represent a particular area to chip in so that they get feedback. You know, I mean, we've got to be a little bit careful we don't create a whole bureaucracy around it. We want to keep it pretty slick and relevant to ward areas so that the ward councillors are on top of issues.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I wanted to emphasise on this particular agenda was the flooding in Rorif, basically. I know it's been said that I'm having talks with
Councillor Stanley. Councillor Stanley, the whole idea of going around the area was to focus on the particular areas, and then of course this becomes a living document, and then we feed it in through other issues either being raised by members or members of the public. And I do really want a structured approach, otherwise we end up by going all over the place, you know, just picking out the one that's a hotspot to that particular councillor. So
that's fine.
My whole objective with the flood forum is to get some real structure and accountability around the issues and who's dealing with it. And I think we've made really good progress this afternoon through principally our partners and Jeff Stacey's approach to this report. I take your point, but I don't want to just go all over the place.
Yeah, one other thing was can we get somebody from Essex Highways to come in and comment, as David Chapman has to be the go-between, if you like. Is it possible to get somebody from Essex Highways?
Well, I agree with you. I think it's good progress. I spoke to the portfolio holder last week to say that I was expecting there to be someone from Highways, and I'm most grateful that Dave Chapman has joined in, but I do think a Highways representative will assist and support him. But how it's done, I'm pretty relaxed, but they are a key partner in this process, and you're absolutely right. Now, I'd like to move on to the next point, if I may, because I'm conscious of time, and I want to conclude it by 4 o'clock. We have questions from the public, and welcome to members of the public who are viewing us this afternoon, and we'll look at the recording of this meeting. But it's important that we go through those questions so that we can feed public questions into the document if we think appropriate. Jeff, do you want to talk us through the public questions that you received? Have they been circulated to members of the forum?
Yes, I believe they were. Correct me if I'm wrong in that assumption.
Right. Well, I think we're getting some mixed responses, some yeses and some nos. So public questions are very important, and I'd be grateful if you could make sure in future that all members of the forum are included. And as good practice, everyone needs all documentation completed several days in advance of the meeting. But bearing in mind we're on time constraints, if you could run us through the questions, please.
Yes, yeah, no, it was my understanding that they had been circulated. Yeah, the first, well, in fact, I've linked two questions together. They're sort of neighbours in Cornhill Avenue, Hockley, and the recent heavy rainfall has shown up some sort of issues there. So that's certainly something to be added to the list for some further investigation. I mean, I'll certainly have a look into it and then report back to partners to see if we can see quite what the issues are and what further improvements can be made there.
Okay. Well, the good news is that we've agreed that it's an item that's going to be added to the list, so that will go on there. So for investigation, accepting some members don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. The next question was around flooding in Folly Lane, which is on a blind bend, and vehicles have difficulty getting past through the flood water. Yes, I mean that one we're referred to highways, but I think it may also be linked to another inquiry that I've had very recently, so is not reflected in any of the paperwork, for somebody just sort of down the hill from that, who was having issues with their garden flooding from a drain. So something, yeah, again, something to be added for further investigation to try and look at what the issue is there. But certainly in the first instance, the flooding on Folly Lane will be referred to Essex Highways.
Thank you. Question 3, why are we not paying the local farmers, landowners to clear or dredge the ditches and causeways?
Yes, just really asking for any comment by partners if they do engage them that way.
No one's chipping in, but I think the key thing here is to hold people who have ditches or drainage systems running through their land to be accountable for making sure that they're maintained, and for us or the relevant authority to have enforcement processes in place to ensure that they are complying, because water is no respecter of boundaries, and the lack of maintenance in one area could well force water to drain on or even flood someone else's land. So I think it's all about consideration, and having this list will focus on what we need to do as an authority, or engage with other authorities to make sure enforcement takes place. Councillor Steptoe.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, most of the ditches that the farmers are responsible for are obviously come under riparian ownership, including those that run along the edge of the road. So it should be the responsibility of the farmers. And I do know that county, as they had done with the Barling Creek that we talked about earlier on, have actually written out to the landowners and reminded them of their responsibility. And I've had several cases where that has been the case.
Thank you, Councillor Steptoe. Councillor Sperring.
No, Councillor Steptoe's spot on, Chairman. Exactly the case, and perhaps we could bring our own legal people into play and help county and anybody else on this issue. But it is, as Councillor Steptoe said, spot on.
Yeah, totally agree. And within the framework of the law, provide chargeback if we incur costs, any of the authorities, to get landowners to do what they should be doing as a matter of good housekeeping on their land. Right, moving on to question 4, Jeff. Question 4, Jeff.
Yes, this is asking who is responsible for the open storm drain behind a resident in Swain Close. And he's given name and number provided, so I can sort of follow that up and try and establish who is responsible for that. I mean, it also seems to link in, if I can sort of step forward a little bit, Mr. Chairman. Sort of question 5 is also around road surface flooding in Swain Close off Victoria Avenue, and question 6 is somebody writing on behalf of their parents who live in Victoria Avenue in Rayleigh, all reporting flooding in the sort of recent heavy rainfall that we've had, which all points to the fact that this is obviously an area that we need to look into to see what the issues are there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Councillor Sperring, you've got your hand up.
Historically, Chairman, I believe they did resurface a lot of the road here at one time, not that many years ago, and managed to tarmac over or drop tarmac down most of the drains. So whether this is an ongoing scenario from that time, I don't know, but that was an issue a couple of years ago.
Thank you. Thank you. Question 7.
Yeah, we've spoken about this already. Yep. This was asking for further information for Anglian Water around Grove Road. So we've had a comment from Anglian Water on that already. It also talked about the annual maintenance of Noble Screen Ditch, which we have sort of covered as well, and obviously we can get some comment from that on the Environment Agency.
Thank you.
Thank
you. And question 8.
This wasn't provided with any contact or any further details, but they'd obviously evidenced a cleanup team from Essex and Suffolk Water jet wash all the mud and everything from some works undertaken down the drain gully, rather than shoveling it up and moving it from site. So obviously we can pass that comment on to Highways who may want to follow it up. But as I say, we've no specific details to be able to follow it up fully, unfortunately.
Okay. Look, I appreciate that these questions come in a matter of days before this meeting, so it's not always possible to have a full comprehensive answer. But certainly, where possible, I would like urgent attention given to those questions, more comprehensive replies given to those that have raised them. And I would like to see, along with the portfolio holder, copies of the replies, and if necessary, them put onto the worksheet, the summary, so that we know what's happening and they are properly tracked and resolved where possible. Councillor Mrs. Christine Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've had a request over the weekend from a resident that would like an issue put onto the agenda, if we can, report that for the next meeting. There's flooding apparently in the road Spencer's in Hawkwell. I've not seen it, so I don't know to what degree of severity it is, but apparently it's caused by blocked drains. I wonder if we could add that to the list and investigate it accordingly.
Okay, and if Jeff Stacey needs more information, perhaps you can contact Councillor Mrs. Mason direct, just to get some specifics, please. And Councillor Mike Steptoe.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Picking up on your point there about the questions, I'm sure a lot of members of the public would be interested in the answers. Should that not be on one of our websites, or should we not have an area in our website which will answer those questions?
Yes, that's a very good point. But actually, the questions I suggest will be summarised and reported in the minutes from this meeting. And I think it is those minutes that become the formal responses to this meeting. So I think to keep it all in one place, I think on the minutes, the summary of the questions and the responses is appropriate on the minutes. Yeah. Councillor Chris Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to offer services, my time or whatever, when Jeff wants to investigate the areas that we've mentioned, like Victoria and Rorif and in such places, Swain Park. I'm readily available, so anytime.
And I think that applies to ward councillors should be kept up to speed with all areas in their ward areas. So thank you, Councillor Stanley, for that. Right, that moves us on to any other business. Anyone got anything to raise? Councillor Joan McPherson.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll keep it brief. It's just these guys are good enough to come along and contribute to our flood forum. Is there any way we can support them? One example might be Mark from Anglian Water mentioned once about water butts and how they can prevent surface water. Perhaps we could do a campaign around that sort of thing on social media, because that's what our residents follow at the moment. Just a thought.
Lovely, thank you. Very helpful, and I'm sure Veronica has made a note of that in the minutes. Councillor Sperrin.
Thank you, Chairman. Following the heavy rain the other day, we've got another couple of flooding issues, which I will forward to Jeff directly. There's nothing he can do now, but it'll just be ongoing. It's blocked drains again, I'm afraid.
Okay. Any other bits of other business? Okay. All right. Well, can I conclude by thanking members of the public for joining in this afternoon and viewing this meeting, and can I thank members for your attendance this afternoon. I'd particularly like to thank Dave Chapman, Essex County Council, for joining us. It was particularly helpful to have you here, along with Roger Webster of the Environment Agency, and of course Mark Lloyd, Anglian Water, who's agreed to everything that Councillor Joe McPherson asked him. So he's become a friend for life. So there we are. But thank you very much indeed, everyone. Now, I'd said at the start about my enthusiasm to make these meetings virtual in future to save people travelling around the place. I have to say that I think we've got to sort out technology, certainly for officers. And Jeff, I think you may have to review your whether or not you go into the council offices, because there's been quite a lot of feedback, and I think it's coming from the fact that you've got a couple of screens. In fact, you just confirmed it's from you, because I think you've got a couple of screens open and you get feedback within the system. So as soon as you go on to mute, it cuts out that rather awful echo that we all get, a bit of a time delay. So I think we've got to sort out some issues with technology. People know where they've got weak internet systems, and I think we've got to try and address that. This seems an ideal meeting to hold virtually, but what are other members' views? Councillor Steptoe.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. It can be difficult for officers to attend, particularly if, as we know, they're very busy and coming from other agencies, particularly if they've got to travel a long distance. So I would perhaps suggest that we need to consider some form of hybrid meeting, where officers that can't get to us, easily in their busy days, can actually attend through electronic means, where other members can be actual. So I would suggest it needs to be a combination of both.
Yeah, unfortunately, within Rockford District Council, we've not got very good hybrid systems, but I would certainly support hybrid. I was on a hybrid meeting the other day, working very well, but not on Rockford District Council premises, because our chamber just isn't up to speed. It's not being used at the present time for COVID purposes, but hybrid is probably a way forward, equipment allowing. Councillor Ward.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Until such times as we have a suitable facility, I would say that we should remain as we're doing now, just ensuring that everybody can get in touch and is able to have good internet connections.
Thank you, Councillor Mrs. Christine Mason. You're on mute.
Oh God, why does that keep on reaction? Oh.
Thank you. I obviously clicked on the wrong bit. So, yes, having observed this meeting for the first time, I found it very interesting and informative. I would prefer the Zoom meeting, as I think there's a greater ability for everyone, members and officers, to attend. I appreciate the difficulty that the officer had with his internet, but I mean, presumably that can be resolved by going into the office. But there's two advantages to this. One is the time efficiency for all of us, and the other is, I think, and I'm not an expert on this, but I'm sure Councillor McPherson will correct me if I'm wrong, it's more carbon friendly if we don't all travel all over the place. So, but I certainly would prefer it to be on Zoom. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd actually go with that, provided we've got all the connectivity and we're just aware of the limitations of the systems that are supporting us. I think Jeff Stacey probably has the hardest job because he needs to toggle between different systems and be on a Zoom meeting at the same time. But that is overcomable, I would suggest, with modern technology. Councillor Steptoe.
Yeah, I was just going to say that members themselves can't always be there in person. Currently, I'm actually sitting in County Hall. I've had very large planning meetings all this morning. It would have been impossible for me to get there for this particular meeting.
Yeah, okay. Good. All right. Well, I think we've had a little bit of a good discussion about that. Can I thank everyone for their attendance today? A good session. A bit of work on you, Jeff, to coordinate for the next meeting. But if in the meantime, over the next week or two, you could update the core document, because that really is the lifeblood of this particular meeting. So thank you very much. Thank you, Veronica, for taking the notes, and